Well, hello everyone. Welcome to our live stream cooking show. This is a Minneapolis Farmers Market live cooking demo in partnership with the Bonicelli Cooking Club. And I am Chef Laura Bonicelli of the Bonicelli Cooking Club, and I'm also the Minneapolis Farmers Market chef. And we have been and will be live streaming cooking segments every Wednesday and Thursday all season long. And can you believe it? It is August. So tonight, I can't believe that. Tonight we're making Mexican sweet corn, also known as Mexican street corn, and you're going to love this recipe. Okay, Mexican sweet corn, as I said, also known as Mexican street corn or elote, translates to corn cob. It's unbelievably popular, and you can find it all over Mexico and in the U.S. at state fairs, and because it's often served on a stick. It's fun, it's festive, it's spicy, and it is certainly messy. So I wanted to write a recipe with homemade mayo as the base instead of a store-bought mayo because, of course, it's better. And we're going to add chili powder, which is a mix of ground chilies and cumin, and we're also adding some lime zest to that as well. Sweet corn, by the way, is not a specific type of corn. It can be one of many types of corn that fall under the general term sweet corn. The term Minnesota sweet corn basically means that the sweet corn, whatever the type is, was grown in Minnesota. There are 4 categories of corn. I thought we'd discuss those because it's kind of interesting, and here they are. First one is dent corn, which is grown widely in the Midwest and the rest of the world. It's also known as field or feed corn, and it's used for livestock feed primarily. It's called dent corn because it gets a dent in each kernel when it's dried. There's also flint corn, known as Indian corn, and it's similar to dent corn. It has a hard outer shell, and it's distinguished by a wide variety of colors. It's absolutely beautiful. It's grown mostly in Central and South America. There's some in North America, and it's used primarily for decoration here in North America around harvest time. Popcorn is a type of flint corn, but has its own size, shape, starch level, and moisture content. It has a hard exterior shell, which you very well know, and a soft, starchy center. And when heated, the natural moisture inside the kernel turns to steam and builds up enough pressure that it eventually explodes. Other types of dried corn may burst open slightly when heated, but not like popcorn. Sweet corn, which is what we're using today, or corn on the cob, is almost all soft starch and will never pop. It contains more sugar than other types of corn. Unlike other corns that are picked when kernels are dry and mature, sweet corn is picked and eaten while the kernels are still tender. Okay, so that's enough talking about corn. Let's make Mexican sweet corn, and we will start with our mayo. So what I have here is my food processor, which is how I generally make mayo. You can do this by hand if you want to. It just takes a lot of work to get the oil to emulsify with the eggs. So this is a quick and easy way to do it. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this recipe was to show you how easy it is to make mayo. This is a basic mayo recipe that we're adding spices into. So we'll start with, this is a large egg. I'll crack that right in there. No shell, yay. Let's get rid of that. Wipe off my hands. And then I have a half a teaspoon of sugar, half a teaspoon of kosher salt, and a teaspoon of dried mustard right here. We'll put that in. I'm just going to take a little break here to squeeze some lemon juice. The lemon juice is critical in this. You need the acid to aid with the emulsification, which is what makes the whole mixture stand up. There we go. Squeeze that well. This is a great lemon. Doesn't have any seeds. I'm still going to strain it though because I really don't want that pulp in my mixture. So there we go. So, and I've got a little measuring cup right here. And I said a tablespoon, didn't I?
Yep.
Okay. I frequently double this recipe. I love having fresh mayo on hand. I use it all the time, so I probably make mayo once a week, so usually I double this whole thing and have it on hand. Okay, so that's a tablespoon. Let me get rid of that. Okay, now we're ready to go. Put this top on. And we're going to just let that go around. I'd say 30 seconds. You might want to stop it if you see, like I'm seeing right now, some of the spices are kind of sticking on the sides. You can push those back in. Just kind of keep an eye on it. Okay, then my lemon juice goes in. Let that go for just another 30 seconds, 45 seconds. I'm spattering up here. And then we'll just slowly start adding the oil in. You'll start to set up when you get about half of the oil in. And it'll stop splattering, I hope. Yeah, there it's calming down. About halfway mark, then it starts to really set up. Let it keep going for just a minute. Okay, and I am going to just take my spatula and push this down, and that's perfect. It's looking great, but I just want to make sure I get any oil or that's splashed up on the sides incorporated. Just give that another second. And that is it. Okay, set that over here. Then I have a bowl right here. Can't have too many spatulas, I must say, especially these little ones. I use them constantly. They even have their own special little drawer, so that's how much I like them. Set that over there. Okay, let's get the rest of that in here. So this is going to make, roughly a little over a cup of mayo, which is just perfect for this. Like I said, almost always when I make this, I double this recipe, and I use half of it for this and save the rest for sandwiches or whatever else I'm doing. Okay. All right, then here I have 2 tablespoons of chili powder. I know it seems like a lot. It kind of is, but we're going to be spreading this over the corn, so it's not going to be, eaten alone. But it'll have some heat to it, so you can play around with that if you think that's too much. And again, chili powder, if you buy it as a chili powder in the store, it's really a mixture usually of some type of chili, maybe a couple types of chili, dried and ground, and then some cumin and oftentimes some garlic. So it's not just straight up chili. So the cumin is kind of a big deal in this. If you did use just like ancho chili powder that is straight chili powder, I would consider using less chili powder and putting some cumin into it, because cumin is certainly a nice flavor to have in this. And I can really smell that chili powder. This is going to have very kicky. We like that. Okay, and then I'm going to also grate some lime juice in here, a couple of these. And I need 2 teaspoons. Let's see, let's use this. I'm going to eyeball that right into the mixture. It'll sit on top so I can kind of guess. Oh, I should mention, one of the things you can do with that mayo, if you really want that limey base to it, Or maybe you don't want to use all the spices, you just want a lime mayo, go ahead and use lime juice instead of lemon juice, and then you'll have a lime mayo. That is what we do when we do fish tacos, right? That's our mayo base for that. And then we stir a little sour cream into it, which is another thing you could do for this base if you wanted to add some sour cream into it. That's there's certainly many recipes that use sour cream, some of them instead of using a mayo base and some as part of it. So you can consider that as you're putting this together. I'm going to keep going for a little bit here. I really like my lime, and I am guessing completely on this, but I know that if I get most of this lime zest, I'm going to be somewhere around 2 teaspoons, and I'm good with that. This smells very fresh and limey and spicy all at one time. Okay, let's call that good. That over there, and stir that in. You'll see once we put these together why they like to serve them on a stick, because they are somewhat messy. So if you can use corn holders if you have them, that's probably a good idea too. I have a lot of them. I didn't pull any out for this, but that might not be a bad suggestion. Okay, so let's set that there. I'm going to just wipe this off quickly. And I have my corn in back here, and what I did with that, and if you've been watching over the past couple of weeks, we've been doing a lot of corn, so I'll tell you again how I cook my corn. I shuck it, of course. I put the whole cobs, either whole or I snap them in half if I want smaller ones, in cold water and bring them up to just a simmer. And the second I see that simmer happening, and I turn them around to make sure that they're turning a bright yellow, then I turn it off. Turn the water off. The corn is cooked, and I can leave them sit in the water for as long as I want to. As long as the water is hot, the corn will be hot. It's a great way if you're entertaining and want to serve sweet corn. You want to make sure that it's hot and done, and you don't want to be waiting on it. You can do it ahead and just let it sit in the water. Just don't boil it. If you boil it, you've got a different thing going on, because then it's going to probably be overcooked. Okay, let me go grab that. I will be right back. There we are. These ears are steaming hot. Okay. I'm going to get a little assembly line figured out here. So I need some cheese, and this is cotija. A very typical Mexican cheese, often called the Mexican Parmesan. So it's a hard cheese. Usually this has a little bit of a yellow tinge to it, and what I like to do is take a pie plate and cover the bottom of it and not dump all the cheese in at one time. So it's just like doing a breading. You want to make sure that you don't contaminate all of it with the mayo. Then it'll just turn into kind of a globby mess. So that's the way we do this. Okay, so here's an ear of corn, and it's hot, but I can still handle it. Just slather this on all the way around. You kind of have to be able to hold on to it, so maybe if I had it on a stick, I could go all the way to the ends. But we're going to kind of leave the ends a little open just so that there's a place to grab. And this, I just can't use enough of this mayo, but I usually serve a little bit of this on the side because people love to just slather this on without the cheese. So, and then just roll it in here. This is a very long ear, like that. I can take a question while I'm doing these other two.
What type of milk is cotija cheese made from?
Cotija is usually a cow's milk. And it has, you know, when I first tasted it, it has almost a sheep's milk kind of taste to it, but it's usually made with cow's milk, although I have seen other versions of it from small vendors using other types of milk. Okay, there's one. See what I mean about this? So I'm going to just cover that up with a little cheese. And these ears are so long, I might actually, let's snap one of these. Okay, we'll do a smaller version. It's like painting with mayo. And if I were, like right now, I made this for, this recipe is for 12 ears of corn. And we're just doing 3. So I could have separated this mayo and put it in the fridge, but we'll use it all up, so I didn't bother doing that. You can roll and sprinkle. And there's that one. There we go. So this is the time of year, I mean, this is the time we wait for, when everything hits at one time. It's just amazing. You have your corn and you have melons, and it's such a wonderful time to shop the markets. I wish we could extend it. Maybe till Christmas. I don't know. Do you think that could work out? Okay, there's that. And then we'll do one last one here, and I'll just sprinkle because he's too long for my pie plate. When I was growing up, my mom, and I think everyone did this, my mom used to boil corn for 10 minutes. So she'd start it, well, I don't know, I think she started it with cold water and then would bring it up to a boil. But anyway, it was not until much later in life that I had fresh corn that was actually from a farmer's market, and not cooked that way. Cooked just I mean, it's barely cooked. I mean, and oh, what a difference it makes. But I think at that time, this was, you know, in the 70s, that's kind of what people did. They boiled the heck out of it. How about your mom?
I think she boiled it for a long time too. I think it was just the way, I don't know why people, maybe they thought they needed to kill some germs or something.
I don't know. Okay, there's that. Got it. Okay. Let me move this up here, and then we'll just garnish it with some lime zest. Can't have enough lime. Another one right here. I've got my little zester for that. How's that? Can you see that?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. And I think this little garnish, I mean, it's pretty, but it's also just a really nice burst of liminess. People appreciate.
What kind of corn do they make corn syrup from?
What kind of corn do they make corn syrup from? Well, the field corn I talked about, the dent corn. And actually, when I was researching this, I had never heard the term dent corn before. I'm just going to cut some lime wedges here for serving. I've heard field corn a lot, but that is the kind that they use for corn syrup. It's super cheap. You know, it's not edible. It's grown. I mean, it's much less expensive than buying corn that you actually eat. But that's where that comes from, and that's why, you know, corn syrup is certainly part of the reason that there's, I mean, so much field corn or dent corn produced is because they use it for corn syrup. And of course, in food manufacturing, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, and I'm not talking about Karo corn syrup that you use to make your bars. I'm talking about high fructose corn syrup that is, you know, so concentrated, and that's what they use in all kinds of products, and something that, of course, we all should avoid completely if we can. There it is. Aren't they beautiful? Any other questions?
Made mayo once, and it kind of curdled. What did I do wrong? Was it too much lemon juice, or?
Is this you talking?
Yeah.
You made a mayo. Well, I'd have to see what you were doing. If you did it in this way, it's kind of hard to screw it up. I know that when you're making it by hand, that how much you whisk in. If you give it enough time with the lemon or lime juice is really important to make sure that you get that whisked into the egg before you start adding in the oil. So it could have been something in the process, not enough time with one element. But making it in a food processor, I have never had trouble with. And I have done it with a lot of different times. I give you times in the recipe for how long you have to do it, but they're really suggestions because you can't screw it up if you use a food processor. Did you have trouble when you were using a food processor?
No, I think I was whisking it.
We were whisking, yeah. So that's a harder process if you do it by hand. The one thing I will say is that if you have a metal bowl, it helps. Copper bowl, even better, just helps with the emulsification and dealing with the eggs. So I'll have
This is easier.
This is way easier, yes. Especially if you do it all the time, because then you kind of get in a rhythm with it, and you know that you're going to be using your food processor, and it's a 3-minute process, whereas making it by hand is going to be longer. I want to thank everyone for watching the recipe, BonicelliCookingClub.com. On the blog. It's pinned to the top, so you should be able to find it very easily. And tomorrow night, we'll pin the recipe for the chowder, and we will see you tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. Keep cooking, everyone. Take care. Ciao.